Ever scrolled through those perfect campsite photos online? Like glowing tent, crackling fire, that breathtaking scenery. Makes you kind of want to chuck it all and become a campground manager.
It does have a certain appeal.
It does. But hold on to your bug spray, because today we're diving into what this job really entails. It's like the dirt beneath the daisies, so to speak.
Huh. I like that. It's like that saying, everyone wants to be a writer until they realize it's more about staring at a blank page than, sipping cocktails on a beach.
Right. The fantasy is always better.
Way more glamorous.
Exactly. And you've been thinking about a career pivot, maybe something outdoorsy, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So we're going to be dissecting these 3 RoleCatcher reports. There's a career guide, interview tips, and then how tech is shaking up the whole job hunt.
Sounds comprehensive.
Yeah, so think of us as your, wilderness guides. We're going to help you decide if this path is, a scenic route or more of a dead end for you.
I like that. Let's map out the terrain.
Okay, let's...
So what does a campground manager actually do? RoleCatcher's career guide paints a picture that's, well, it's way more than just building campfires.
Oh, way more. We're talking full-on management here, like coordinating staff, wrangling budgets. They even mentioned event planning.
Really?
Yeah, forget sing-alongs. Think negotiating contracts with, porta-potty providers.
Oh.
It's hospitality, logistics, and a bit of crisis management all rolled into one.
And that's where the work environment section gets interesting. Sure, being outdoors sounds idyllic, but imagine a sudden thunderstorm rolling in. We're not talking a minor inconvenience, right? We're talking potential campground evacuations, ensuring everyone's safe, maybe even dealing with a downed tree taking out the power grid.
Whoa, okay. That's intense. I'm picturing, a scene straight out of a disaster movie.
Yeah.
Suddenly, my cozy campfire fantasy is feeling a little more electrifying.
Yeah, you need to be calm under pressure, resourceful.
Definitely.
And probably have a killer first aid kit on hand at all times.
At all times. Yeah, that's not exactly your, average desk job skill set.
Exactly. And it's not just Mother Nature you're contending with. Remember, you're managing people.
Oh, right.
Staff with varying levels of experience, campers with a whole range of expectations, and maybe even the occasional raccoon who's decided the snack bar is his own personal pantry.
Of course. There's always a raccoon. Okay, so we've established it's not all sunshine and s'mores, but RoleCatcher does highlight some, enticing pros, too.
Oh, okay.
They mention flexible schedules, which, speaking from experience, is always a win.
For sure.
And who can argue with the perk of, working in nature? And for you, someone looking for a change, the potential for growth and advancement section, I thought that might, pique your interest.
It does sound enticing. But let's dig a little deeper into that career stages section, because while there's definitely a ladder to climb with roles like regional manager overseeing multiple campgrounds, the climb is more like a leisurely hike than a rapid ascent.
Okay, I see. So don't expect to be running the whole show overnight. It's more about, gaining experience, proving yourself, and gradually taking on more responsibility, which for someone with your ambition, I don't know, could be a good or bad thing.
That's a good point. And let's not gloss over the seasonal employment and limited job security aspects. RoleCatcher doesn't shy away from these realities.
Yeah.
For someone making a career leap, relying on, potentially seasonal income, that's a huge consideration.
It is. That's where passion needs to meet practicality, right?
Yeah.
You might love the work, but can you handle the off-season hustle?
Exactly. And this is where I think research becomes really crucial. RoleCatcher's jobs feature is pretty cool because it lets you see which campgrounds in your area are open year-round versus seasonal.
Yeah, that's helpful.
It's about finding that sweet spot, a job you're passionate about, but with a structure that actually fits your life.
Makes sense. So we've talked about the demanding reality, the potential instability, but before you hang up your hiking boots completely, there's another layer RoleCatcher reveals that really surprised me. Technology.
Oh.
Yeah, I had this image of a campground manager, I don't know, scribbling reservations in a dusty old ledger.
Right, like super old school.
Turns out it's way more high-tech these days.
Right. The technology advances section blew my mind a little too. Forget pen and paper. We're talking online booking platforms, customer relationship management systems, even social media marketing campaigns to, attract those Insta-worthy campers.
Wow. It's like, that scene in every sci-fi movie where someone whips out a futuristic tablet in the middle of the woods.
Right.
I guess even nature needs a digital upgrade sometimes.
Absolutely. And those tech skills aren't just about attracting new visitors either.
Okay.
They're like essential for managing the whole operational side too.
I wouldn't have thought of that.
Think about it. Inventory management for the campground store, um, analyzing data to, optimize staffing during peak seasons. They even talked about using like weather apps to anticipate those sudden evacuations we talked about
Oh,
earlier.
right. Yeah, to stay ahead of the storm. So you've mastered the art of digital detox for the campers, but behind the scenes, you're like a total tech wizard. But let's say, just hypothetically, you spend a few seasons as a campground manager and you realize, you know what? Roughing it isn't really for me.
Okay.
Are you, like, stuck with this career path forever?
Not at all. Remember that transferable skill section we touched on? This is where things get really interesting, especially for someone, like you, considering a career pivot.
Okay, yeah, let's break that down. We're talking about those, like, valuable skills you pick up on the job that translate to other fields,
Yeah.
even if they seem totally unrelated at first.
Exactly. Think about it. You've managed budgets. You've probably dealt with more than your fair share of, shall we say, difficult campers.
And raccoons, don't forget the raccoons.
Oh, right. And, probably a raccoon or two.
Yeah.
And hone those leadership skills by, motivating your team to keep things running smoothly, even during like a total downpour.
Right. So even if you decide to trade your hiking boots for something a little more corporate, you're not starting from scratch.
Exactly.
Those problem-solving skills, thinking on your feet, being resourceful, that's gold in any industry.
Absolutely. Imagine yourself in like high pressure meeting, right?
Okay.
And a wrench gets thrown in the plan. Instead of panicking, you calmly assess the situation and find a workaround. Why? Because you've handled a campground toilet overflowing on a holiday weekend.
Oh, no. Been there.
Maybe, maybe not, but that's crisis management 101 right there.
That's trial by fire. Okay, so the skills are transferable, but let's get real for a second. The jobs section on RoleCatcher doesn't sugarcoat it. The job market, it's a battlefield out there.
Yeah.
How do you stand out from the crowd, especially when you're coming from a totally different field?
You're right. It's not enough to just, love the great outdoors and have some great stories.
Right.
That's where understanding how to, like, navigate today's tech-driven job market is crucial. And RoleCatcher really shines a light on this with their Beat the Automated Recruiter section.
Okay, yeah, this is the part where it feels like we're living in like a sci-fi movie. We're talking algorithms scanning resumes for keywords, right? Like, are these digital gatekeepers deciding my fate?
Yeah, it can feel that way. And it's easy to feel overwhelmed, but this is where knowledge is power. RoleCatcher's CV resume builder can be like your secret weapon. It analyzes those job descriptions for you, identifies those essential keywords, and helps you tailor your application to get past those digital gatekeepers, right? To get it into the hands of an actual human.
It's like having a tech-savvy career coach in your pocket.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So you've conquered the robots, your resume's landed on the right desk, you've snagged an interview. Time to break out the campfire stories, right?
Hold your horses. Remember that interview prep questions to expect section?
Uh-huh.
They're not just going to ask you about your favorite type of tent.
Oh, no.
No! Be prepared for behavioral questions that really dig into your experience. Think, tell us about a time you had to deal with a difficult customer, or describe a situation where you had to make a tough decision with limited information.
Okay, yeah, those are always tough. How do you answer those curveballs, especially if you're coming from a completely different field?
That's where you flex those transferable skills. Let's say you're asked about a time you had to manage a conflict, right? Maybe you've never actually had to mediate a dispute between a camper and a raccoon over a stolen bag of marshmallows.
Although that would be an amazing story.
It would. But the point is, even if you don't have direct camping experience, you can still draw on situations from your past that demonstrate those same skills. Did you ever have to resolve a disagreement between coworkers on a project? Or did you have to enforce a policy that not everyone was happy about? Those experiences, they showcase your leadership, your communication skills, and your problem-solving abilities, even if they happened in an office and not a campground.
It's all about connecting the dots for them.
Yeah.
Showing them, even though you haven't been leading those wilderness expeditions, you've still got the skills to handle whatever comes your way.
Right.
Okay, so you've aced the interview, impressed them with your wilderness wisdom, or at least, your ability to handle a metaphorical raccoon infestation.
Right.
What's the final push? How do you really make your application stand out?
Well, remember those certifications that RoleCatcher mentioned? Things like becoming a certified park and recreation professional. or a certified campground manager.
Right. Those always seemed a bit, I don't know, mysterious to me. Are those actually essential or just like a bonus?
Think of them like earning badges, back in scouting. They might not be mandatory, but they show a certain level of like dedication and expertise, can give you a real edge.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like saying, hey, I'm serious about this, and look, I've got the credentials to prove it.
Exactly. And for someone like you, making a career change, they can be really valuable. It's a way to quickly demonstrate your, commitment and knowledge, even if you don't have years of experience in the field.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Plus, I bet those courses cover some pretty specific stuff that you wouldn't learn just like hanging out in the woods.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
how to identify different types of trees, or maybe even some wilderness first aid.
You'd be surprised what you pick up. And those certifications often touch on things like risk management, sustainability practices,
Hmm.
even legal compliance issues that are specific to campgrounds. All those things show a potential employer you're ready to like hit the ground running. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So we've really journeyed here from that like romanticized image of campfire sing-alongs to the nitty-gritty of like managing budgets and mastering all that new technology.
Yeah,
But we've also highlighted how this could actually be, a stepping stone to a whole new you.
definitely.
What stands out to you as the most, I don't know, unexpected part of this whole deep dive?
For me, it's the reminder that even in this like tech-driven world that we live in, human connection, it's still at the heart of it all.
Yeah, I like that.
Whether you're managing a team, resolving a camper's issue, or creating a really memorable experience for like a family, it's those interpersonal skills that truly make a difference at the end of the day.
That's a great takeaway. And we always say knowledge is power,
Right.
but it's the execution you take that truly sparks change.
First.
So here's your challenge, listeners. Head over to RoleCatcher, pop in your location, and see what campground manager jobs are out there.
Yeah. What are you waiting for?
Who knows? Your future could be waiting just around the river bend, or at least near a campsite. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everybody.